Good evening. Let us come to rest. We are dedicating these few minutes to God and to the power of silence, not to words about God, not to our cleverness, not to argument with the mind or with the world, but to that quiet place in which the presence of God is felt and known, not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. We are giving ourselves to that Spirit, to that breathless hush where truth reveals itself, for the real work of healing is not done in the noise of affirmations and denials. Those are like the bell that calls us to prayer, not the prayer. The power of God is made manifest in the silence that follows the voicing of truth. It is there, in stillness, in quietness, in confidence, that grace does what might and power cannot do. Now, I know there is in each of us the impulse to fix, to improve, to reach, and to grasp at a promise with strained fingers, as if the infinite were a prize kept behind a counter. But listen, God is the only power. Do not make a God out of anxiety by fighting it. Anxiety has no power in itself. It is a shadow that seems to grow as we turn a spotlight upon it. Turn your gaze instead to the light itself. Be still and know that I am God. Let that be our posture. Not struggle, not resistance, not technique piled on technique, but a surrender into silence where knowing, not knowing about, declares itself. As a matter of fact, healing comes not by might, not by power, but by the grace made manifest in silence. We are told, I will never leave you nor forsake you. That is not tomorrow's promise, it is now. Lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. Do you see the tenderness of that? The presence does not require our wrestling, it requires our consent. We are not here to battle fear, be not afraid. We are here to let God be God in us. Anxiety is the fatigue that comes from fighting shadows, from believing in two powers, a good that must outwit an evil, a peace that must restrain a storm. There is no such thing anywhere at any time as an evil force or evil power. Storms of thought may pass through consciousness, but they are not powers, they are passing images. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Not because I can argue the valley away, but for thou art with me. Shadow has no substance. Light alone has being. God is the only power. Let us be clear. Voicing the truth is a necessary step. It steadies the mind. It points the heart. It gathers our wandering attention. But it is not the healing agency. The seal is placed upon our treatment through our silence. After the promise, silence. After the scripture, silence. After the remembrance that I and the Father are one, silence. In that silence, grace completes what words cannot finish. If you had to hold the universe together with your declarations, you would be exhausted by noon. But the universe is already held in God. Our declarations are the gentle turning of the head toward that fact. The silence is the entering in. So we begin quietly. We are dedicating these minutes to the awareness of a single presence, a single power, a single life in which we live and move and have our being. We lay down the sword of argument. We lay down the shield of resistance. We take no thought for our life in this moment, what we shall eat, what we shall wear, what we shall answer to the chorus of anxious thoughts, for our Father knoweth. Let the heart say only this: Father, here I am. Do in me what I cannot do for myself. Then be very still. Do not try to feel a feeling. Do not try to force a peace. Rest. Let the presence prove itself. You will notice how contrarian this is to much of religion and to much of the mind's habit. The mind says, strive. The Spirit says, abide. The mind says, formulate. The Spirit says, be still. The mind says, battle the fear until it yields. The Spirit says, be not afraid, for I am with you. Truly, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help. Present, not absent. Help, not hindrance. Refuge, not peril. And because God is the only power, the appearance of another is simply the play of belief. Anyone who accepts as reality a belief in two powers makes themselves subject to their own belief, and with it the tale of fear. But when, even for a moment, you withdraw that belief and consent to just one power, the tale falls off. Anxiety dissolves in the light that reveals it never was a power, only a suggestion. Therefore, let your heart consent to an experiment in humility. For these minutes, dare to do nothing. Dare to believe that silence, not speech, presence, not performance, grace, not grasping, is the way of healing. If a promise helps you steady yourself, use it softly. No weapon that is formed against me shall prosper. Then pause. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Then pause. Feel how the words open the door and how the silence ushers you across the threshold. The silence is not empty. It is full of God. It is full of that spirit which knows your need before you ask and answers while you are yet speaking. Be still and let it. We are not adding God to our situation as if peace were a patch. We are discovering that God alone is the condition of our being, closer than breath, nearer than hands and feet. If you will make these minutes an altar, not an altar of many offerings, but of one offering, your attention, you will find that the atmosphere changes. The wind drops. The waters still. Not because you commanded them, but because the Spirit of God is upon thee. Not by might, not by power, by Spirit. And so, with quiet hearts, we begin. We dedicate these moments to the silence in which God stands revealed as the only power. We will not fight shadows. We will not rehearse terrors. We will speak truth simply and then be very still, allowing the presence to put its own seal upon our consciousness. Peace, be still. Let those words be spoken once, and then let silence affirm them. In that silence is your healer, your guide, your safety, your sufficiency. In that silence is the grace that completes what we, in our best intention, can only begin. Now then, let us look gently, honestly, at the face that anxiety wears. Do you see that it never comes as itself? It always comes wearing a mask, and the mask is the belief in two powers. On one side, a supposed power of good to be pleaded with, to be strengthened. On the other, a supposed power of evil to be feared, to be out-argued, to be resisted. That is the inner drama, two thrones, two scepters, a tug-of-war in your own breast. But this is idolatry in two directions. Always remember this. There is no such thing anywhere at any time as an evil force or evil power. God is the only power. The moment you accept even slightly that there is another causative agency, a disease that can act on its own, a lack that can deprive life, a threat that can rule your tomorrow, you make yourself subject to the belief you have adopted. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. Not because I have muscled my way through with argument, but for thou art with me. The shadow is not a power. The presence is the only power. Let us be very clear. In the beginning, we are told, God created, and God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. Never deviate from that first truth. If you deviate, you step into a world of divided powers, and you will live by the weather of your emotions. Disease is not a power. Lack is not a power. Threat is not a power. They are names given to suggestions that have been invested with our fear. They are the toy serpents to which we have ascribed venom. I have told you before of the child who, seeing a brightly painted wooden serpent, falls into convulsions. Now, was there poison in the toy? No. The convulsion arose from the belief, not from the object. So it is with the headlines you read, the sensations in your body, the figures in your account. The mind attributes causative force where there is only a picture. The picture is powerless. The belief supplies the electricity. Look up here and believe me when I say it is not the object that agitates you. It is the faith you have placed in the object. If you accept that a germ is a power, you will fear its proximity as if it had a will to injure. But the germ in and of itself has no such power. If you accept that the future is a power, you will make an altar to tomorrow and offer today upon it. But tomorrow is a picture in the mind. If you accept that the opinion of some person is a power, then you trade the scepter of your peace for the echo of their voice. Always and only belief gives rise to bondage. Take no thought for your life, not because life is trivial, but because life is God and God is your life. In Him we live and move and have our being. There is no other realm in which to live. Anxiety feeds where the belief in two powers is fed. It grows big on our resistance. Have you noticed? The more you brace against a fear, the stronger it seems to become. The more you denounce the darkness, the more shadows it throws. Why? Because resistance is attention, and attention is the currency of belief, not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. In other words, not by the might of your counter-argument, not by the power of your clenched jaw, but by the spirit that is already present, complete, all. Stop fighting the wind, and it stops finding your sails. Cease the inward pushing, and you cease energizing the phantom. This is not passivity. This is surrender to reality. Be still and know that I am God. The knowing comes in stillness. The stillness reveals one power. Consider how easily the mind is mesmerized. A rope in dusk is mistaken for a serpent, and the heart pounds. Then a light is brought. And in that light, the rope is a rope and the fear is gone. Did the rope change? No. Did a war take place between good rope and evil serpent? No. Light appeared and suggestion lost its custom. So it is with anxiety. It is the dusk of divided belief that makes the rope look like danger. When you let the light of one power dawn, not by shouting daylight, but by consenting to it, the costume falls away. The Spirit of God is upon me. Say it softly, then be very quiet inside. The costume cannot stand where the presence is recognized. Now then, some of you will say, but the sensations are real. The thoughts come like a flood. I know, the flood is familiar, but is it power or is it repetition that you have mistaken for power? A drum beats loudly. Does that give it authority? No, it gives it volume. Do not confuse volume with power. The sea can roar, but peace be still, and there is a great calm. The calm is not the result of a louder roar from your side. It is the consequence of the presence being acknowledged as the only causation. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, not because you are clever in deflecting arrows, but because there is no law in God to prosper a weapon. There is only the law of spirit, the rhythm of one presence. We are returning, you and I, to the single premise: God is the only power. If there were another, you could fear. If there were another, you could be anxious. If there were another, you could be torn between altars. But there is not. The appearance of another is a suggestion, an echo, a shadow. It has no root in God, therefore it has no root in you. I and the Father are one. When that is more than a sentence, when it is an inner consent, you will find that anxiety has nowhere to cling. It comes to a door that is not double-hinged. It rattles and it passes. So let us unmask anxiety by withdrawing our donation to its theater. Let us refuse to cast it as a power in this drama. This is not arguing with it. This is laying down the script. How do we lay it down? By turning quietly to the presence that is already here. by refusing to make an idol of fear and also refusing to make an idol of our resistance to fear, by remembering, fear not, little flock, it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Not a portion of it, not a contested province of it, the kingdom. Where is the kingdom? Within you. Here, closer than breath, nearer than hands and feet. When you cease resisting, you cease feeding. When you cease feeding, the phantom grows thin. When it grows thin, it cannot project form. That is how anxiety dissolves, by the revelation of the power that has always been one. Hear this as a present fact. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Hear it again. And in that hearing, notice how the inner theater grows still. That stillness is not a tactic. It is the recognition of reality. You are not held between two wills. You are not the battleground of rival forces. You are the temple of the living God. Within this temple there is no contest. Within this temple there is light, and in that light every mask is seen for what it is. Be not afraid. God is the only power. And as you rest in that, the belief in two powers loosens its grip, and anxiety, which was only the servant of that belief, has no further employment. Now then, let us make the simple, radical turn that ends the long journey. We turn within, not to an interior theater of thoughts and images, but to the living presence that has never been absent. I and the Father are one, not two trying to agree. One life, one being, one presence appearing as this I that hears these words. Fulfillment is not elsewhere. Good is not waiting behind the next achievement. Peace is not deferred to the next season. Closer to me than breath, nearer than hands and feet, the infinite announces itself as the very life that I am. I cannot go anywhere to find it, nor can I go anywhere to leave it behind. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there thy hand shall lead me. Do you see? This is not a pilgrimage to a distant shrine. This is a recognition of what has always been so. Look up here and realize right here is both God and man. Right here where you sit is the meeting place that requires no meeting, the union that requires no joining. Lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. The with you is not a companion walking beside, it is the life within you being itself. The attempt to import God from the outside into the inside is the last subtle unbelief. You cannot import what you cannot be without. You are breathing now without planning the next breath. In the same way, you are living now in God without planning the next assurance. In Him we live and move and have our being. That is not an aspiration. That is the atmosphere we relax into when we stop insisting that we are somewhere else. This, then, is the holy shift of identity. Know ye not that ye are the temple of the living God? I will dwell in them and walk in them. Do you hear the tenderness of that? Temple is not architecture, it is awareness. It is the knowing here and now that God is the only life in this life, the only mind in this mind, the only safety in this breath. Where I stand is holy ground, not because the ground is unique, but because the presence is recognized. Moses was told to remove his shoes, and so must we remove the sandals of argument and self-defense. Lay aside the dust travel of seeking. Bear your consciousness. The ground is holy because the one is here. Safety, then, is realized, not produced. It is not the result of perfect circumstances arranged by cleverness. It is the fruit of recognition. Underneath are the everlasting arms. The branch does not manufacture its security by gripping the vine. It rests in the fact of the vine's life flowing as sap, as fruit, as form. I am the vine, ye are the branches. Fear flickers when the branch imagines itself as a stick on the ground. Peace returns when it remembers, I and the Father are one. A fish does not take a course on locating the ocean. It relaxes into the water that has always borne it. So do we relax into God as our element. Silence, stillness, quietness, confidence. When you stop producing safety, you find yourself carried by it. Now, some of you will say, but what of the world? What of the noise that comes through the day? The call, the bill, the sensation. Listen softly. The world cannot add God to you, neither can it subtract. Appearances come and go, but presence is the only constant. Fear not, for I am with thee. Be not dismayed, for I am thy God. Thy God, not a far-off deity to be summoned, but the very life saying, I within you. When anxiety knocks, let it find the house identified not as a worried self, but as a temple. In a temple there is a hush. In a temple there is a lamp that is never extinguished. In that atmosphere, even the intruder forgets its errand. Make this the quiet confession of your heart. I live and move and have my being in God. Not I hope to, not I will when I improve, but I do now. The moment you cease trying to climb into what already contains you, the strain dissolves. The wind may tap at the window, but the house rests on rock. Greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. Do not try to make that true. Let it be true. Give it consent. You will notice that the breath lengthens, the shoulders fall, the floor of consciousness drops from a tense attic to a wide, lit sanctuary. This is the temple of the living God. We are not setting up an idol inside called my peace to be guarded with human effort. We are acknowledging the peace that is God himself, forever self-maintained, self-revealing. Be still and know that I am God. The knowing follows the stillness because the I that knows and the I that is God are not two eyes. When the mind ceases darting out for proof, the heart rests in presence, and presence proves itself. The seal is in the silence, but the door is the recognition that there is nowhere to go and no one else to be. I cannot add God to me. I cannot take God from me. I can awaken to God as me. God is the life I am, the mind I am, the being I am. And so, in this very room, at this very moment, let the old assumptions set like evening light that safety is manufactured, that fulfillment is imported, that God is delayed. Hear the holy word within you say, I will never leave you nor forsake you. Hear it again until the echo becomes a presence and the presence becomes the fact. Where you stand is holy ground. Where you go, the temple goes. Where you rest, the everlasting arms are the bed. This is not bravado, it is benediction. It is the quiet discovery that the one power is not only with us, but as us, and in that discovery, anxiety finds no room, for the house is full of God. Now then, let us take into our hands the simple scepters of promise, not as charms, not as bargaining chips with a reluctant heaven, but as living assurances spoken by the one who is our life. These are not future tenses reaching out for tomorrow. They are the voice that eternally is, announcing itself now. We do not strain to believe them into truth. We rest and let them tell us what is already so. In this way, the mind is clothed, thought is robed, the inner climate steadies, the promises are the doorway, the silence is the sanctuary beyond the door. We speak once, softly, and then we become still, allowing the word to root where argument cannot. Hear this, not from the page, but from the presence. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not make it a chant. Say it as a fact. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Let it pass through you like a light wind through tall grass. Then be quiet. In that quiet, notice that you are not looking for the presence. The presence is looking as you. The breath widens, the noise withdraws. The heart discovers it has been upheld all along. When you emerge from that quiet, do not pick up worry like an old coat. Let the sentence remain as the air you breathe. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Take up another, the strong mantle from the prophet. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. You understand, this is not a license for combat. It is the unmasking of combat as unnecessary. If God is the only power, there is no law in God to prosper a weapon, whether that weapon appears as a symptom, a figure, a rumor, a memory. The decree is made, and because it is the decree of one power, it needs no assistant. Whisper it once, no weapon that is formed against me shall prosper, and then put the weapon down, which is to say, put down the fascination with threat. Be very still. Let the meaning soak into the folds of thought until thought itself loosens. This is the robe and the armor of spirit, light upon the shoulders, clarity upon the brow, not defiance, recognition. Now the shepherd speaks, and you know his voice. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. The valley is shadow, not substance, movement, not residence. I walk through. I do not pitch my tent there. And why can I walk? For thou art with me, not a companion coming alongside late, but the very life that by being itself carries me through the appearance. Say at once, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me, and then let the staff and the rod be more than poetry. Be silent and feel the hand you are in. In that hush, the valley loses its echo. The shadow loosens from its drama. The step becomes natural again. And here the anointing that calls you by your true work, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me. Do not decorate it, do not perform it, state it as simple as breath. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. Then do not hurry to prove it with activity. Be still. Let the Spirit say what the Spirit means, that it has anointed you to good news, to binding up, to liberty, not by your might or your plan, but by the presence that does not fail. This is not a crown for the ego. It is a mantle for service that begins with quietness. Out of that quietness, words heal because they carry silence with them. Touch comforts because it carries presence in it. If you would, gather these into a gentle litany that clothes the inner room of consciousness. I will never leave you nor forsake you, then silence. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, then silence. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me, then silence. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, then silence. Let each sentence be a key turned once in the lock. Then let the door open on its own hinges. This is the way of promise consciousness. We are not persuading God. We are allowing God to persuade us of God. We are not summoning aid. We are consenting to presence. It takes but a moment to speak, and then the seal is placed in the interval where speech ceases and God is. You will find, as you live this way for even a few minutes, that the mind that was rushing like a brook in spring begins to run clear. The sediment of fear settles. The water reflects sky. There will be no fireworks to flatter the senses. And yet something more trustworthy occurs, a quiet certitude, a soft invulnerability, an ease that does not argue. This is the fruit of letting the promises be present tense life rather than future tense hope. Lo, I am with you always, even unto the end of the world. Say it once, and then give it the reverent courtesy of your silence. Underneath are the everlasting arms. Say it once, and then feel yourself not holding on, but being held. If another passage rises from within, he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Welcome it. Say it softly. Then abide, always the same rhythm. Word, then wordlessness. Promise, then presence. Remember, voicing truth steadies the lamp. Silence lights it. The litany is our way of setting the mind on things above, not to escape the earth, but to recognize the earth held in God. And as you continue hour by hour, day by day, you will notice that anxiety cannot find its old purchase in a consciousness robed in promise and kept in silence. God is the only power. These assurances are the gentle way we consent to that power as our very life. Speak them once. Be still, and let grace complete what your best words can only begin. Now then, let us give our consent a shape, not a cage to spirit, but a chalice, a simple container that the heart can keep without strain, that the mind can recognize and release within 12 minutes. Not 12 to impress God, who has no clock, but 12 to train our willingness to be still, to complete what we begin, to trust the silence. If you cannot keep an hour with your own soul, keep 12 minutes, and keep them faithfully. Give us this day our daily bread. This is daily bread. Taken fresh each day, it feeds. Hoarded as a plan for tomorrow, it stales. So choose a time. Morning is kind, evening is kind, and choose a place, a chair that will remember you, and say within yourself, this is altar time, not a task, not a technique, and alter your posture. Sit, be at ease, feet on the ground or legs folded as you prefer, spine not rigid but upright, like a candle that does not lean, hands open in the lap as if to say, I take no sword, I receive. Eyes lightly closed or half-lidded if wakefulness requires. No forcing of breath, no fixing of thought, in silence, in stillness, in quietness, in confidence. If the breath wants to lengthen, let it. If a thought wants to knock, let it knock and pass. You are not the doorman, you are the sanctuary. Remember, not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. We are not entering to perform, we are entering to consent. Set a soft chime if you have one. A bell that calls to prayer does not shout. Let one chime sound at 3 minutes, another at 9, and the last at 12. Why? Because we are following a holy simplicity, 3 movements that match the way consciousness turns from words into wordless presence. First, 3 minutes of gentle promises, the clearing, then 6 minutes of receptive silence, the healing agency. Finally, 3 minutes of resting recognition, the seal. The mind loves to wander when it does not know where it is going. Give it a simple road and it quiets. The first 3 minutes, gentle promises, not pleading, not arguing, not an avalanche of declarations. Softly, like placing kindling for a fire that the Spirit will light. I and the Father are one. Then be very still. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Then a breath and a pause. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Let that find its seat in you. No weapon that is formed against me shall prosper. Not as defiance, but as recognition that there is no law in God to prosper a weapon. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Do you see the thread? Not I can win a battle, but thou art with me. After each word or two, be quiet again. Do not continue reasoning. Do not assemble proofs as if standing in court. Voicing the truth is a necessary step, but it is not the healing agency. These few promises steady the attention and turn the face Godward. They are the bell. The prayer is coming. Then the chime sounds, and for 6 minutes we are wordless. Be very still and very available. This is the heart of it. No request, no outline, no attempt to shape the outcome. Silence, stillness, quietness, confidence. Be still and know that I am God. Let the knowing announce itself. If a thought arises about the day, about the body, about the future, do not push against it and do not follow it. Let it pass as a cloud passes across a sky that is not disturbed. You are the sky of awareness. Thoughts are weather. God is the only power. Let that be the backdrop, unspoken, like a mountain behind the town. If a sensation arises, do not assign it authority. Do not diagnose. Rest. The power of God is made manifest in the silence that comes after the stating of truth. Here, grace does what might and power cannot do. Here, the seal is placed not by your effort, but by presence being itself. And if you say, but I feel nothing, still be still. Do not convert silence into a technique for producing a sensation. God is not a feeling brought on by method. God is the living presence that is the fact of your being, whether you feel it or not. Our part is consent. Lo, I am with you always. Always includes silent days, ordinary days, days when nothing dramatic happens. Keep your appointment. Keep your seat. Build the habit of meeting God in the silence where God has ever been. Demonstration comes only after this silence. Not belief alone, not agreement alone, but the quiet moment when you let God be God in you. Then the chime speaks again, and the last 3 minutes are resting recognition, not a return to reasoning, but a soft amen. Let there be a simple acknowledgement, thank you, Father. Let there be the awareness that something holy has been honored, whether or not the mind understands. If a sentence wants to rise, let it be simple. It is well. Or peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. Then rest. Rest as if the work is finished, because in God the work is finished. Do not pick up the problem again. Do not check the clock for results. Sit robed in quiet, clothed in a hush that says, underneath are the everlasting arms. This final rest is not an addendum. It is the seal. It allows the new atmosphere to soak into the edges of your day. You may wonder, why 12 minutes? Because the heart keeps what it can complete, and completion builds trust. If you attempt 45 and dread it, you will avoid it, and avoidance teaches the mind to distrust the altar. 12 is humble, but not trivial. It is enough to state truth, to be silent, to seal. As you continue day by day, do not lengthen from ambition, deepen from fidelity. A river wears its bed by constancy, not by flood. His mercies are new every morning. Let each morning or evening bring its mercy, and you will find that the atmosphere extends beyond these minutes into your living. Treat the time as altar time. If the phone rings, let it ring. If an item on your list remembers you, gently promise it. In 12 minutes I will see you. Now I am with the one who knows your end from your beginning. Do not bring incense of strain to the altar. Bring attention. Bring willingness. And if one day a restlessness comes and you feel you have done it poorly, hear how human that sounds. There is no poorly where grace is the agent. Show up, sit, be silent, consent. God is the only power. The rest is God's. And when you rise at the final chime, do not rush away as if from a transaction. Stand up slowly. Carry the hush with you as if you had been in a temple, because you have. You are the temple of the living God. Where you go, the temple goes. Do not break the thread by chattering inwardly. Was it good? Did it work? The question belongs to the realm of two powers. The answer belongs to silence. Be content to have been faithful. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. This practice is how we stay. The silence is how we are kept. So this is our blueprint. 3 minutes of promises to clear the way, 6 minutes of silence where the healing agency operates, 3 minutes of resting recognition that places the seal, a soft chime to usher you from movement to movement, a chair that knows your name, a heart that consents. And over it all, the refrain we will not leave. God is the only power, not by might, not by power, by spirit. In this rhythm, words escort you to the threshold. Wordless presence opens the door. In this rhythm, grace completes what we can only begin, and so it is. God is the only power. Be not afraid. Say it once, as you would greet a beloved presence at the door, and then be very quiet within yourself. Let the words land where they fall, and do not go after them. God is the only power. Be not afraid. Now, without strain, allow the space after those words to widen as dawn widens the room without any hand to pull it open. Take up the shield that needs no gripping. No weapon that is formed against me shall prosper. Say it once simply, and then do not look around for the weapon. Lay down the habit of seeking danger, and let the sentence be like light in which no weapon finds a law to advance. Be still. Then let the shepherd's staff steady the heart. I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Say it once, not as drama, but as fact. Thou art with me. Let it do its own work in the hush that follows. And now the simple, steadying promise. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Say it once, and then refrain from saying it again. Consent to it. Be very quiet, as if listening to breath that you do not manufacture. In the gentle silence that remains, notice how the mind's insistence grows soft at the edges, how the air of the soul clears a little. Now turn within to the holy identity that needs no reaching. Right here, I and the Father are one. Do not decorate it. Do not prove it. Right here, I and the Father are one. This is the temple of the living God. Let those two facts robe you. Feel them as an atmosphere more than a sentence. And then again, be still. This is the movement of our work, word into wordlessness, promise into presence. We do not tug at heaven. We open the hand of thought and find it already here. Let us enter now the heart of the practice. Rest your attention lightly in the center of your being, as if there were a lamp there that does not flicker. If a thought rises, allow it to pass as a small cloud passes across a great sky. Do not pull it near. Do not push it away. Let God be the only power. If a feeling knocks, acknowledge its knocking and let it find itself unopposed, unentertained, unlabeled, until it has nowhere to stand. Return without effort to the quiet sense of being, to the awareness that is aware. In that awareness, silently know, I and the Father are one. In that awareness, silently know, this is the temple of the living God, and then no more words. Be still and know that I am God. Notice how the breath takes care of itself. Notice how the body sits without your management. Notice how life continues to be life without your scripting. This is your hint of the greater truth. Not by might, not by power, but by my spirit. Let the river of thought flow under the bridge of awareness. You do not go with it. You look and you rest. If an old fear raises its banner, do not salute it and do not fight it. Let it flutter out of season in a wind that has lost its gust. God is the only power. Without repeating the sentence, feel its fact like gravity, quiet, constant, unargued. If a scripture rises of its own accord, lo, I am with you always, let it pass through once and dissolve into silence. If another comes, underneath are the everlasting arms, let it come as a wave that leaves no foam upon the sand. Your part is consent. The seal is placed in the silence, not in the many sayings. The healing agency is the presence that is being itself as you, not the effort to hold presence in place. So be very still. Be lovingly inattentive to every image that would draw you outward. Sit in the sanctuary of your own heart, knowing that the lamp is lit without your hand. Now, without moving in thought, sense the benediction that attends this consent. It is not a thrill. It is a soft certainty, a warm invulnerability that needs no explanation. It may feel like a widening or like a gentle settling. It may feel like nothing at all, and yet there is a knowing that was not purchased by argument. That is the seal. Let it rest upon you. Do not touch it with analysis. Do not measure it. Let it be what it is, God, revealing God where you are. In that holy, quiet, anxiety has no altar, no stage, no audience. It was never power. The presence is the only power. Remain a moment longer, simply grateful. Not grateful because the mind has listed benefits, but grateful because reality has shown itself as nearer than hands and feet, closer than breath. Let gratitude be wordless appreciation, a soft yes of the heart. If you wish for one final whisper, let it be this: the Spirit of the Lord is upon me. Say it once, very softly, and let it disappear into the silence from which it came. Then do not reach back. Rest another moment as the temple robed and kept by Spirit. And now, without breaking the atmosphere, allow the awareness of the room to return the ordinary holiness of this moment in which God still is all. Do not pick up the old concerns as if they had power. Carry this quiet with you as a fragrance, as a mantle. The treatment is complete not in our words, but in this silence. Let grace finish what we have begun, and let the benediction continue to rest upon you as we move on. God is the only power. Be not afraid. So let us speak now of demonstration, not debate. There is a difference between agreeing with truth and being kept by it. Agreement is of the surface. Realization is of the depths. Agreement says, yes, that sounds right. Realization says nothing and rests. Agreement is the student. Realization is the practitioner. The kingdom of God is not in word, but in power. The mind can repeat 1,000 accurate sentences and yet still tremble. The silence need only touch us once, and a trembling ceases at its root. By their fruits ye shall know them, not by the cleverness of the phrasing, not by the number of quotations, but by the fruit which in this work appears first as peace. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you. When that peace begins to rule in the heart, there is your sign. The seal is being recognized. What does the seal feel like? It is not a blaze to capture attention. It is a hush that frees attention. The breath softens without your managing it. The shoulders remember how to rest. The jaw unhooks its argument. The line between you and the room grows soft as if a boundary had dissolved into benevolence. There is a quiet certainty that does not come from stitching reasons together, a warm invulnerability that does not consult a forecast. You do not say, now I see how this will work out. You say nothing, and yet you know it is well. That knowing is not a conclusion. It is presence revealing itself where you are. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. The keeping is God's, the staying is our consent. Do not make the mistake of thinking that the seal must announce itself with fireworks or clairvoyance. It often arrives like dawn, first a hint, then a softening, then a room filled without a switch being touched. Sometimes it is only the absence of panic where panic has always stood. Sometimes it is a laugh that rises for no reason and requires no joke. Sometimes it is the sudden futility of worrying, as if the old engine would not turn over no matter how you pressed. The peace of God, which passeth understanding, shall guard your hearts and minds. Passing understanding means it will not let you build a tower of reasons to hold it. Let it be as it is. Do not debate it. Do not decorate it. Recognize it and be grateful. Now, in the midst of this, thoughts may still wander through. Intrusive thoughts, what of them? They are not enemies. They never were. They are birds crossing a generous sky. If you try to net them or chase them, you only teach them to circle. Let them pass. Do not label them mine and do not label them bad. To label is to grant them dwelling rights. To let them move on is to keep your sanctuary free. Remember, it is not the reciting of truth that heals, nor the wrestling with thought, but the silence that follows our consent. When a thought knocks, hear it and do not open the door. Return without reproach, without hurry, to that wordless center where I and the Father are one. In that returning, the seal deepens. You are not performing non-resistance. You are discovering that nothing needs resistance where God is the only power. And here is a delicate safeguard. Do not use the holy refrain as a club. God is the only power. It is not an argument to beat back fear. It is a recognition that leaves fear without a stage. Say it once, as one notes the sunrise, and then be still. If you feel the urge to repeat it loudly to make something happen, smile and recognize the temptation to take the work back into your hands. The sun requires no cheerleading to rise. So with God, the refrain is a doorway. The seal is the room into which you step. Stand there. Let presence furnish the space. How then do you recognize that you have moved from agreement into realization? You will notice the absence of debate. The inner court quiets. The need to explain, to measure, to check loses its edge. If an old symptom parades, it does not draft you into its parade. If a memory waves a banner, it does not recruit you. You see, and you rest. Without summoning a plan, you find yourself answering gently, moving simply, or not moving at all. You are content to do the next obvious thing without dragging the future into it. In that contentment is authority, not the authority of personality, but the authority of truth resting in its own being. The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit. That witness is the seal. And if in any sitting you rise and wonder, was it real? Did I achieve it? Be kind. The very question reveals the old habit of two powers, the belief that something other than God can confirm God. Return, if you wish, for a minute or two. Say once, softly, lo, I am with you always. And then offer the courtesy of your silence. Our part is fidelity. God's part is grace. Do not inspect the seed every hour to see if it is sprouting. Water it with constancy, and let the law of life be itself. In time, you will find that without ceremony, without striving, you are living in an atmosphere changed by no hand of yours. Panic searches for its old path and cannot find it. Worry reaches for its old chair and discovers it has been removed. Underneath are the everlasting arms. That is the proof, not spectacle, but safety, not noise, but knowing. This is demonstration. This is the seal recognized, not by might, not by power, but by spirit. God is the only power. Let that be the air in which you breathe, not a slogan to wave. And as you allow this quiet to do its own convincing, you will understand why we do not argue with the world, with the body, or with memory. We do not need to. The peace has come, the guard is set, the yoke is easy. Be very still and cherish the fruit. It is God being God as you. Now we come to the street and the inbox and the waiting room, to the places where habit once sprang to defend itself. Here is where our altar travels with us. You carry it as awareness, as a quiet within, that does not need circumstances to be quiet for it. Every trigger that once demanded a fight now becomes a bell that calls you to silence. Do not meet a shout with a shout. Do not meet a wave with a wall. Retire inward one moment and let God be God. God is the only power, not by might, not by power, but by my spirit. In this way, the field becomes the sanctuary. The day becomes a liturgy of small obediences. A health scare comes, a sensation in the body, a message from a clinic, a look in the mirror that startles you. The old belief in two powers rushes to the front, one power to harm, another to help. Stand still. Before you decide anything, before you consult the oracle of fear, take 60 seconds and place your hand, not necessarily on your body, but on your altar within. Whisper once, "The Spirit of the Lord is upon me." Say it as fact, and then be still. Do not diagnose. Do not bargain. Be still and know that I am God. In that minute, you are withdrawing the false authority you gave to appearances and consenting to the one presence that is your life. After the minute, if you are to call, call. If you are to rest, rest. If you are to go, go. Let the act arise from peace, not panic. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on thee. Stay 1 minute. Then let the wisdom that comes of staying guide the next step. You will find that clarity appears without argument when the only power is recognized. Financial pressure visits numbers that do not meet, a notice that stirs the animal fear. The human mind reaches for calculators and catastrophes. Stand still. Whisper once, "I will never leave you nor forsake you." Then take 1 minute and sit inside that sentence as you would sit in a house during rain. Be quiet. Do not make projections. Do not write tomorrow's disaster today. In the hush, remember, give us this day our daily bread, daily. Then, from the peace that begins to show itself, take the next simple action. Open the books with gentleness, make the call without tremor, ask for wisdom as if it were already given, because it is. A plan born of strain carries strain into action. A step born of silence carries provision into action. Cast your net on the right side. The right side is not a place on the boat. It is the side of consciousness that knows one power, one source. Act after peace appears, and you will discover doors where walls seem to be. Now a relationship tightens the tone, and a room cools. A message pricks, memory rehearses an old grievance. The temptation is reaction, quick and virtuous in its own eyes. Stand still. Inwardly say once, "I and the Father are one." Consent to non-reaction. Be very quiet, even as the other speaks or the message waits on your screen. Let the silence do what force cannot. A soft answer turneth away wrath, not because it manipulates the other, but because it rises from a place without wrath, without fear. When your words do come, let them come after the river has cleared, and you will hear them as if someone wiser is speaking through your mouth. Or you may find no words are needed at all. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. Give that peace by carrying it in that atmosphere. Hurt loses its hooks. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, seals your presence. The presence heals the conversation more than any phrasing could. And the world shouts through headlines and feeds and whispers in lobbies. The noise masquerades as information. The fear disguises itself as vigilance. Stand still. Let your eyes read, but let your heart rest. Once, simply say, "No weapon that is formed against me shall prosper." Then retire for 30 seconds, for 60 seconds, into the shadow of the Almighty. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Abide a moment. Refuse the bait of fear. You are not withdrawing from love's concern for the world. You are withdrawing from the belief that fear protects. Come back to the page or the room with a presence that does not vibrate at the frequency of panic. You will see more clearly what is yours to do and what is none of your business. You will recognize hype without hating it and harm without kneeling to it. God is the only power. Make this a day of micro silences. Never miss your 12-minute appointment, that is your daily bread and your riverbed, but also weave 2 or 3 small rests into the fabric of ordinary hours. At the doorway before you enter, pause for 10 breaths and let one promise pass once through you. Lo, I am with you always. While the kettle warms or the elevator descends, let underneath are the everlasting arms rise and fade, and then be quiet. Before you answer a call or press send, close your eyes a moment and remember, this is the temple of the living God. Let your words come from the temple, not from the marketplace. These pauses are not techniques to fix outcomes. They are obediences that keep you inside truth. Thou art with me. Say it once. Abide. Over time, the pauses stretch themselves into your walking, until even without stopping the mind, you carry the hush like a fragrance. This is field practice. We are not adding struggle to our days. We are subtracting the belief that struggle is power. We are not neglecting necessary steps. We are cleansing them of fear so they may be guided. You carry a portable altar. In every trigger, you have permission to stop, to remember, to be still. Word, then wordlessness. Promise, then presence. Action, then seal. And because demonstration, not debate, is our proof, watch quietly how outcomes soften, how choices unclench, how provision meets you at turns you could not have calculated. Let each instance become testimony, not to your skill, but to grace at work in the silence. God is the only power. Be not afraid. Now let us speak of who walks out of this room. Not a frightened personality trying to remember sentences, but a holy consciousness wearing what has always been yours. Clothe the inner life. See yourself robed in light, not an imagined light, but the very radiance of the presence that is your life. Put off the costume of defensiveness and put on dignity, the quiet dignity that needs no edge, no thrust, no parade. Put on the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. This robe is not woven of words. It is the felt truth that I and the Father are one. When you are robed in that, you do not need to protect yourself from the world. You find the world has nothing to press in upon. Anxiety goes looking for a handle to grip, and here it finds none. There is nothing to grip in a being clothed with light. And now, be clad in the armor of spirit, not steel, not scorn, not the hard face that says, do not touch me, but the transparency of God. Put on the whole armor of God. What is that armor? Righteousness that is not self-righteousness, faith that is not strain, peace that is not negotiation, salvation that is not a future hope but a present safety. This is the armor that does not thicken you against life. It makes you so clear that nothing unlike God can adhere to you. A fly cannot land on a flame. A lie cannot land on the consciousness that knows one power. Anxiety is a lie about power. Let the armor of spirit be your atmosphere, and you will discover that fear cannot find a perch. It circles and does not alight. It approaches and has no place to stand. God is the only power. Walk as the temple. This body that you tend, this mind that you watch, this life that you carry, this is the temple of the living God. Wherever I am, the presence and power of God is with me. Say it as a simple report, not a plea, not a demand, only a statement of what is. Wherever I am, the presence and power of God is with me. Then be very still a moment and let the statement be realized as atmosphere. In that realization, your very posture changes. The shoulders find their place. The eyes soften. The step becomes deliberate without being heavy. You do not enter rooms to take them. You enter rooms as one who is already home. In Him we live and move and have our being. This is not a ticket to escape life. It is the way to live life as presence in motion. Now let the refrain of courage be simple and complete. Be not afraid. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. Say it once, as one who recognizes a companion who has never left. Be not afraid. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. And then let a breath of silence follow it. Do not lean upon the refrain as a crutch. Let it place you in the silence where the strength is. It is the silence that seals the armor, that fastens the robe, that fills the temple. In that silence, watch how the old reflex to brace yourself fades. Watch how the need to rehearse danger loses its logic. Perfect love casteth out fear. Love is not an emotion you produce. It is the nature of the one who robes you. Rest there. Be still and know. Stand in the promise. Not as a soldier scanning horizons, but as a child at ease in the Father's house, softly, without drama. No weapon that is formed against me shall prosper. Say it once, and do not look for enemies. Look for presence. Let the eyes within turn from the imagined battlefield to the table that is prepared. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Do not count enemies, count the table. Count the bread, which is daily. Count the cup, which runneth over, and then leave the counting and abide. In that abiding, a wonder occurs. What was sharp becomes blunt. What was urgent becomes clear. What was threatening becomes instruction. Lo, I am with you always. Let that be the banner above the table and the law within your breath. Carry yourself now as one already robed and already armored. Let your words come from the sanctuary and not from the marketplace. If speech is needed, let it be gentle and exact. If silence is needed, let it be warm, not withholding. To be armored in spirit is to be safe enough to be kind. To be robed in light is to be distinguished without comparing. Dignity replaces defensiveness. The robe is meekness with majesty in it. The armor is peace with power in it. Underneath are the everlasting arms. When you feel the old tightening, try to mount your shoulders. Remember the robe and the armor. Touch them inwardly for 1 second. Be very still. The tightening has nothing to grip. Wherever you go, walk as temple. In the street, on the call, in the clinic, in the kitchen, wherever I am, the presence and power of God is with me. Do not shout it, do not brandish it. Remember it as you remember your own name. The remembrance is enough. If a sudden dart of fear flies, do not swat at it. Turn once within. Be not afraid. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me. Then hush. In that hush, you will notice how swiftly the dart disintegrates in the air of God. If an old accusation rises about the body, about the future, about worth, stand in the promise. No weapon that is formed against me shall prosper. But do not arm yourself for combat. Yield yourself to presence. Let God be God. The weapon falls not because you struck it, but because it found no law to travel under. Anxiety cannot cling to a consciousness that walks as the temple, robed and kept by spirit. It cannot find a seam in the robe of light. It cannot find a gap in the armor of peace. And so we do not boast. We abide. We do not police the horizon. We dwell in the secret place. We do not dramatize the journey. We sanctify the step we are on. God is the only power. Let that be the invisible crest upon your brow, the hem of your garment, the breastplate that needs no polish. And if at any hour you falter, do not accuse yourself. Reach gently for the robe. It is where you are. Touch lightly the armor. It is what you are. Whisper once, wherever I am, the presence and power of God is with me. Be still and let the truth wear you. Then rise and go on in quietness and in confidence, for in that quietness and confidence is your strength. Be not afraid. The Spirit of the Lord is upon you. Now let us make this a way, not a moment. Constancy opens the channel. Grace sustains the atmosphere beyond these minutes. We are not adding burden. We are consenting to blessing. Not by might, not by power, but by my Spirit. Take this as your simple rule of life. Each morning, 12 quiet minutes given to God. Midday, a 3-minute return to the secret place. Evening, 1 minute of wordless gratitude. Do not lengthen it to prove zeal. Do not shorten it to excuse haste. Keep the appointments as you would keep a beloved's visit. God is the only power. The power of God is made manifest in the silence that follows our simple truth. In the morning, before the world presents its catalog, sit and set a gentle bell for 12 minutes. Begin with 2 or 3 promises, spoken once each and then surrendered. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Be very still. I and the Father are one. Be very still. This is the temple of the living God. Then rest. Do not manage thought. Do not patrol the door. If the mind reaches, let one line rise and fall. Be still and know that I am God, and then return to silence. In that silence, the seal is placed on the treatment. We are not making anything happen. We are consenting to what is always happening, God being God where you are. At midday, step away for 3 minutes. If all you can find is a doorway, a stairwell, the interior of a parked car, that is temple enough. For the temple is within you. Say once, the Spirit of the Lord is upon me. Then abide. Let the breath breathe itself. Let the shoulders forget their task. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Abide those 3 minutes. Cast your net on the right side, on the side of one power, and return to your work from quiet, not from clamor. In the evening, a single minute of gratitude, not the counting of gains, not the weighing of losses, but the simple recognition. Underneath are the everlasting arms. Whisper once, Thou hast been our dwelling place in all generations, and then be silent. Let the day drop back into God. If something was left undone, let it be left on the altar, not on your chest. This minute is not a report, it is a rest. Peace I leave with you, my peace I give unto you. To help you remember, place a verse on your phone's lock screen. Lo, I am with you always. Or if you prefer, God is the only power. Each time you wake the screen, let the words pass through you once and then do not touch them. Set a gentle chime, perhaps at noon, perhaps at 4, not as a summons to performance, but as a loving reminder to retire within for 30 seconds, for 1 minute, for 3. These are not charms. They are doorbells at the house you already live in. Right here, closer than breath, nearer than hands and feet, I and the Father are one. Now a word of gentle insistence. Never neglect a day. If you miss the morning, keep the noon. If you miss the noon, keep the evening. If you miss them all, do not accuse yourself. Begin again at the next breath. Do not double the minutes tomorrow to pay a debt. Grace keeps no ledger. Fidelity is our part. Fruition is God's. As you keep the appointments, recognition ripens into demonstration. By their fruits ye shall know them. The first fruit is peace, then clarity without strain, then provision without panic. Day by day, the atmosphere follows you out of the chair and into the street. Constancy opens the channel. Grace sustains the atmosphere beyond these minutes. Let us close as we will live with a promise and with silence. Lo, I am with you always unto the end of the world. Say it once. Be very still. Let the hush apply the seal. And as you rise, do not step out of this. Step forward in it. Walk as the temple of the living God, robed in quiet, clad in the armor of spirit. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper. Be not afraid. The Spirit of God is upon me. God is the only power. Carry this presence into your next breath, your next glance, your next word, and so it is.